Okay, today's mission. Well, it won't be today, it'll take me a wee while. We're going to change the injector nozzles. Sorry, the injectors, not the nozzles. The nozzles have been changed. I've got a set of new injectors that have done a lot less kilometres than this, and new Denso nozzles. Anyway, I won't record the whole thing. I'm going to have a go myself, and I've had some advice from an expert, Walter. Thank you. So I'm going to just sort of mention the highlights, if you know what I mean, the steps, and I'll go through that. Let's see how we get on. The other thing I've done is I've taken a decibel reading from right there, and just see if there's any difference in noise, because these can be a little bit, I noticed this one, it's a little bit noisier when it's cold, but not by much. They're quite quiet engines, these 1 HD FTE motors. But anyway, Walt reckons that with the new injectors, I mean, the pump might be working a little bit harder. We'll see how it goes. It's had a rebuilt pump approximately, geez, what was that? That was about 65,000 kilometres ago. We had a new pump put on it. Well, a reconditioned. Test these injectors. Let's hope that they're horrible.
That one sure is. Look at that.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's
I'll
horrible,
just zoom
isn't
in,
it?
I'll zoom in.
That's absolutely horrible, isn't it?
Geez, why?
What pressure? Let's see what pressure we're getting up to. And they're leaking now. We haven't even got to 2,000. Just pissing out.
Bloody
Oh, there we go.
hell.
Yes, we didn't even get to 2,000. Well, number one's definitely a failure.
Wow. So what's that from? Just, is that this?
Well, it'll be a tired, worn out nozzle. So
Yes.
the needle and nozzle will be worn out. And we've got tired springs.
Okay, so they've only done 640,000 kilometres, those.
Oh, the bloody thing should still be like brand new. And Toyota just let us down there. Warranty claim.
Okay, number two.
Number two.
I'll go on to the.
Same again. Oh, goodness me.
What?
Yeah. Wow.
So what are they? What are they?
We just let some needles. It's a big gauge, and it's quite slow. We'll just take our time and bring it up, see what they're coming up to, what they're trying to come up to. I don't know, we seem to be, Jesus.
It's dripping like
Yeah, we're not even getting up to 1800 psi. The base should be cracking until 26.
And that's what the new ones are set at, is it?
Yeah, the new ones are set around about 2780.
27.
Yeah, 26 to 28, and then 5.2 to 5.4. Yeah. Okay, so this, I'll tell you what, ready for it. Two squirters to be, the whole lot must be like this, because you would have really noticed the engine shooting, bumping and clunking and knocking, but in actual fact your motor was running really, really smooth.
No, it was still running really smooth. Yeah.
So they're just all tired. Oh no, look, we've got some pressure on this one. Oh no, we haven't, no. What are we going to get out of here? No, we're just leaking. We're just not even getting it.
Just. Jesus.
We're not even getting up there. They're just, yeah. Well, I'd say you did the right thing, Sean, because if you kept them going in longer, you would have just done horrendous ring damage.
And I wasn't getting any, like it wasn't black smoking or anything like that, or.
No.
But I must admit, the EGTs were hotter.
Yeah.
So is that because it was?
At the end of the day, you see, you're 400, probably about 430 pounds of compression, 430 to 450 at idle.
Well, is that engine compression?
Yeah, engine compression.
Cylinder compression, yeah.
See, the injectors were throwing fuel in, well, let's say, they started leaking 15. So far, they've all been leaking 15 up to 2,000. She'll still burn lovely.
Is that why it's a bit snappy at the bottom end?
Yeah, she would have just been pouring fuel in too early, but you know, pistons come up to compression, 6 degrees, bang, blow, and she would have kept going. And of course, once you get up in the revs, you see, once you got up in the revs, they're trying to work.
Look how low they're cracking.
Yeah. So you pour pump in your computer, in your spool valve, right, actually recalibrating themselves, because I mean they're used to running low pressures. It's quite surprised it didn't throw the check engine light on.
Geez, that bad.
Yeah.
They're not making that, you know, chat noise, you know.
No,
do these ones not do that? Or,
oh, they do, yeah.
But those ones are not doing it for something.
Yeah, they will.
What does that
They're
come
very,
out to?
very tired injectors.
So what does that come out to?
It's trying to get up to around that 1800, but she's struggling. She's leaking, you know.
Again, I'll just see if I can get one. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Poor old girl.
It's like a prostrate's buggered, eh?
Yeah, I can tell you all about that.
Yeah, just wonder if it has to get up 3 times a night, 5 times a night to go for a pee.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
We got one that works.
Yeah. No wonder she was getting up the fire out of hill. Oh, no.
No?
Yeah. She's a bit better than the others, though.
That's number
But,
6.
yeah.
That's number 6, isn't it?
Yeah. We can't get it. Yeah. Wow.
Have you got a one that's good, a different one, but one of what they should look like?
Yeah, here's a 1HDT. Different pressures, but, you know, 1HDT is pretty close to the old
Yes.
FTE, so your internal first cracking pressures, you'll see. We'll give her a...
Oh, wow, yeah.
And you can watch the gauge come up.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. You see, no leaking. This is just my test injector. Just sort of just keep the machines at calibration. Each 1HDT.
Jeez.
Yeah, 1HDT cracking at 2.8.
2.8.
Yeah.
And these ones should be at what, 2.750?
Should be around at 2.750 to 2.8, yeah. 2.8's on the really high side, 2.750. And the only reason these are slightly lower is the second crack pressure when the spool valve and the pump ramps up is 5.2 to 5.4.
Gotcha.
That's when you notice, when you got your foot into it and you're screaming up around that 3,500 RPM, yeah.
That's when you, yep.
And that secondary pressure's coming in and gives you all that power.
Excellent.
Why the 1HT FTE engine is such a fantastic engine. It's such a smooth engine, an economical engine and powerful engine. A lot of torque.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, there you go, folks. We learn something new every day. And when you want your injectors done, you get hold of this guy. And the maestro himself. So, anyway, thanks, mate. Perfect. Right, catch you later. Right, just going to come up to the tie happy deviation. So just heading into it now. So I'll do a bit of a recording of the exhaust gas temperatures, EGTs, and the boost pressure, and anything else that comes to mind. Certainly seems to be a bit more responsive now. It's quite a steep hill, so I'm not towing anything. I've got a bit of gear in the back, but that's nothing. about 90, maybe 95. I'm doing okay. So we just up to 400 EGTs, and yeah, this boosts at about 13 pound. Just dropped off a wee bit. Down to 85. I'll just cut it down, kick it down, and I've just locked up the transmission. This has got a transmission lock-up switch, so I'll just leave that locked in. I'll back right off, so we're at just under 400 degrees, about 2/3 throttle. Transmission's locked up, you can't even see the problem. Just overtake this truck. Oops. Okay, so that's just come on now at 500. I set the alarm at 500, which is quite low. It's just dropped off again. I've just bucked off. I've about just come up again, 500, 13 pounds boost, about 2/3 throttle. I'll just drop it to top. Yeah, effortless, to be honest. I probably would have made it up in top gear, but if you come up in top at about 2000 RPM, it does tend to run the EGTs a bit hotter. But yeah, that's the camera will pick it up. It's actually starting to snow, and we're 5 degrees centigrade outside temperature. So all in all, very good. Yeah, a lot more responsive. I hope that shows something anyway. Okay, we've got the inlet manifold off. It has a sheen of oil on there, not too sure why that is. Everything else checks out quite well. If I can get the light in there. A second. Very clean. So pleased with that. There's a couple of hoses you've got to take off that go to various sensors. Not too sure what they do. And inside the actual, whatever that thing is, yeah, that's all looking good. So that's pretty much the first step, is take that inlet manifold off, the crossover pipe I should say, from the turbo, this pipe here, well that goes down to the intercooler actually, and across to the inlet manifold. If we have a look at the inlet manifold, geez, that's bloody clean as. So yeah, this vehicle is what do they call it, exhaust gas recycle, EGR. Yeah, that's what it is, EGR. So it doesn't have any of that EGR nonsense, because this is a 1999 engine that's done 640,000 kilometers. Anyway, yeah, so I'll cover that up with a rag so no rocks get in there, and take the rocker cover off. There's actually a 2-stage rocker cover on these. I'll show you that as well, and then the fun really begins. Next step, take off the fuel return lines. There's 6 of those that screw into the top of the injector, and then as will be take off the injection pipes. There is a sequence for that which I'll let you know. Okay, according to the workshop manual, the next step is to remove this pipe, and then undo that pipe. I presume, I'm not too sure if that goes, that must just come out that way. I'm not too sure about that. And then you undo these 6 bolts. They're a through bolt, obviously, and they must have a set of washers underneath them, which I've actually got the replacement washers. I'll show you those. Lift that off, and then we'll try the next step, which is all a bit daunting. Okay, that's the fuel retail rail taken off, and that has these little bolts. You probably can't see, but they have a hole in them, and that sits on top of the injector, and obviously returns fuel back to the pump or back to the tank or however. But one thing to note is you really want to replace these little washers that fit. You can imagine they fit in there, and the bolt goes through them, so it provides a washer surface on each side, and it's joined in the middle like that, obviously, so you can hold it. When you take them apart, I've managed to save some. I mean, you can't help this, but it snaps them off. So it would pay to replace those, and that's the order number, if I can get that right there, and that's for the 1HD FTE engine. I don't know about the 1HD FT. I don't know whether that has a different part number. And the next steps after that is remove the injector pipes, if you can see that. So I'm just going through the book here, and the sequence that you remove it probably doesn't give you too many options, but it's 3. So pipe number 3, 4, 5, 6, 2. So 3, 1, 4, 5, 6, 2. That's the sequence. So what I've done here is I've marked each injector pipe 1 through to 6, and there's a fuel return line. I probably can't even see that. I'll see if I can get a torch or something. But there's a, I'm just doing this on my phone. There's a fuel return, there it is. So there's a fuel return line, you can see that there, that goes to the top of the injector pump. That then comes back up through the inlet manifold and back into that pipe, and that return rail went across here, you see. Those there, right there, that's the top of the injectors. So that's what I've got to get out. Yeah, so next steps is undo those brackets and then remove all of these pipes in a sequence. But talking about that fuel retail pipe that comes out of the top of the injection pump, I'll see if I can show it to you. How's that look? Not really. It's a bit difficult. Anyway, in behind there is a inlet manifold bolt, and there is no way that you'd be able to get to that with that that return pipe there, which would make it quite difficult to replace that actually, or even to tighten it up. Just as a bit of a side note, I was getting a squealing noise, that light is terrible, isn't it? I was getting a squealing noise coming out of this when it was cold, and it was like the turbo was going out. But I'm pretty sure I fixed it. I had some loose inlet manifold nuts, and it was these torches are terrible, aren't these modern torches? Well, they just had a simple on-off would be a hell of a lot easier. I pushed the button about 5 bloody times. But anyway, I tightened up that nut and it went away well, I just went and checked them all because I could hear it coming up through the snorkel, because I've got a snorkel on this thing, and I could hear the squealing coming up through there, so which made me think it's not the turbo side because it was the inlet side. But anyway, I digress. Right, I'll keep going. Okay, got the injectors off, injector pipes off down there. Oops. And obviously up here. That sequence is not quite right. It looks like it's 3, 4, 1, 5, 6, 2, but I probably won't really know that till I put it all back together. I mean, it didn't make any difference, it was fine, but it just seemed to be a bit easier doing it that way. But definitely number 2 has to come off last and go off first, because if you look down the back, you see, because of the rotary shape of that, you have to think about the order that it goes in, otherwise it would be interesting to say the least. But haven't made too much of a mess. Anyway, the next thing to do is to take those, I think those things are the bridges off the top of the injectors, and then try and lever the injectors out, or maybe take the seals off. I'll have a look in the book and go from there. Okay, so what it's saying in the book is remove the nozzle seal holders with a screwdriver. So you obviously pry that from the outside, and then remove the nozzle, which is what they call a nozzle is actually injector. Remove that bolt. That lifts up. That's a clamp that clamps down, so you lift that up and then pry the injector out, and there's a seal under there. Yeah, that's theoretically all that needs to happen, and then we'll see how that goes. Here's I've managed to get a injector out without any tools. Well, I did. Yeah, I've come up with a bit of a method, I think, that I can fix it, but get them out maybe. Yeah, I didn't break anything, that's the main thing. So that's number 1 injector. It's got a bit of carbony stuff on there, if you can see, if it's going to focus properly. Injector seat, so it must be the, well, you know, yeah, anyway, I'll carry on, but good luck so far. You've got a couple of difficult ones, injectors to remove, so I bought this cheap slide hammer that was basically just had that on each end of it and no other fittings. It was only $15. Cut the end of it off, put a bolt on there that's the right size, and I'm just waiting for it to cool down, and I'll give it a go. Should be okay. That'll screw in the end of that. Then we can see if I can slide it out. Yeah, rightio. By Joves, it worked. I spent about 30 minutes trying to get that injector out. 3 taps, good as gold. But I've probably just jinxed it now. Rightio. Okay, so once you've got the injectors out, the other thing to do is to, where you've got your spill valve coming out of the top of your pump, uncouple those 2 wires. And the reason for that is what you want to do is turn the engine over. So there's nothing, you know, because you've got crap in those, where you've pulled the injectors, there's bits of carbon and all sorts of stuff. So I was advised, and then just give it a good pump it all out. It'll throw anything that's fallen in there while you've been removing stuff, fire it all out, and yeah, you should be good. So that's another step. Next step, when the injectors are in, torque the holders, which is those things there, down to 18 foot-pounds, and grease up the O-ring and just drop them in, and she should be right. And then the next job, once you've done all those and everything's all torqued down, all 6, is you just pop these seals in. And I just put a bit of rubber grease around those. They're actually like, I think they're a brass fitting with a rubber coating on them, so that just made them go nice and smooth. Yeah, then the next step is put on the injection lines. So that'll be the next thing. I've got to clean them up, but before I do that, what I'm going to do is actually re-torque down the inlet manifold. It's a good time to do it because you haven't got any pipes in the road. There's no inlet pipes, and yeah, we've got a bit of room to breathe. So that's the next affair. So I'll come back when all the pipes, injection pipes, when I'm ready to do those. Fitting the injection pipes now. So I'm just doing them one at a time, obviously. So the first one is number 2, and number 2 goes right there at the back, and then number 6. So I'm just taking them off in the order that they, putting them back on in the order that I took them off. So first, so 2, then 6. Right, I'll get more. Next one is number, crikey, what is it? Number 4. And it appears you've got to do them up, tighten them as you go, which makes sense because otherwise you won't be able to get your get the old spanner in there. So I better undo number 6 again, and I'll do it up at the pump, and then I will do it up at the head. Yeah, rightio. Okay, slowly getting there. So just to repeat myself again, sequence, putting it back on, is 2, 6, 4, 1, 5, 3. That's 2, 6, 4, 1, 5, 3. I'll just have to double check all that, but I think that's right. Everything sort of falls in place. The whole idea of this is not to bend those pipes. The pipes should just slowly just slot into place quite nicely, which they seem to be doing. It's a real, it'd be quite easy to get this all wrong. So yeah, anyway, we'll get the next 2 on. Right, so the next step is to button up all the injector lines. So you tighten them up in the sequence I mentioned previously, on the pump first, and then you tighten them up on the head where they go into the injector. And once you've got that done, then you put all your pipes back on, and importantly the brackets. So you've got the 4 brackets. They're pretty obvious, they can only sort of go on one way. I put a bit of rubber grease in behind them because the vibration has actually worn away the whatever that coating is, it's whatever. So there might be, to be fair, they probably actually need replacing because there's a few marks on them. So the next thing to do is to put the return or spill rail, or whatever you want to call it. So I'll find out the specs for that and find. Okay, so I've got the spill rail on, or the return rail, or whatever you want to call it, and I'm just testing it. So the book says it's got to hold 7 pounds for 10 seconds, but so that's 10 pounds. It's been a bit longer than 10 seconds, and I've just got a bit of a Heath Robinson setup with a couple of pipes and a joiner and another pushed onto there, so it's leaking a bit through there. But the main thing is that you want to make sure that that's not leaking out of these things, because once you've got the rocker cover on, any excess fuel will just, you'll start making oil, with your dipstick. You'll wonder why you've got more oil. Well, it won't be oil, it'll be diesel, it'll be watered down. So it's probably quite important that those are not leaking, and replace the little washers. So I bought little washers with it, and you only torque those to 8 pounds, but geez, I went to 6.5 because 8's I'd hate to snap one of those. They're only small bolts. They're a hollow bolt, but so that's hence why I'm checking, because they're, anyway. Otherwise, it's looking pretty good. I should, next steps is just to bolt all the ancillary gear on it and hopefully it starts. There's the valve cover, remarkably clean actually. Like, look at that oil. How does that work? Oops, this thing's done. Yeah, I just pulled it off, you know, set it upside down, just sort of give it a quick wipe. I don't even need to. That's how it is. That's how it came out. That's, I don't quite get that actually. Right, I'll put a new gasket on it and I've cleaned up the surfaces on the head, and also where it goes over the cam lobe, you know, over the camshaft on that side. On the head side, you put a bit of gasket goo, and also at the back there's there's like a semicircle. So you always pays to put a bit in that, because they can leak there. But anyway, that's it. So yeah, I'll carry on. Next step is you've got 17 10mm nuts on to go around the rocker cover. It's a two-piece rocker cover, so there's another, this is a composite material, and then there's a tin, I guess, decorative cover over the top of it. But yeah, so across there, on the underneath the rocker cover, and on the back driver's side on this vehicle, anyway, right hand side, there is a semicircle under there, and you just put some gasket sealer. I use that, I think it's a Primatex, is it? Anyway, you just get the right one that can handle a bit of heat, and it's made for the job. And then you go around and you torque all these nuts to 6 foot-pounds. And it pays to go around them, round and round and round in a series, because as you squash up one and you squash the one beside it, the one, like if you torque up that one and then you torque up that one will go loose. So you need to go around it like about 3 or 4 times around it to make sure it's all nice and even, because the last thing you want to do is have a leak, which I hope I haven't got, because then you've got to pull all the inlet manifolds and crossover pipes, and well, not, you don't have to pull this off, but you've got to pull over the crossover pipes and all that nonsense. So we are getting there, and that's what it looks like with the decorative color cover over it. I just did those up sort of just firm, you know, you don't want to go overboard on them. And underneath this thing is a whole lot of quite thick foam, which you'll probably see anyway, obviously when you pull it off. And that foam, it's a very high density stuff. It's obviously for soundproofing, and that can stick on the composite one, and it's quite hard to get it off. So a little bit of patience there. And the other thing to remember is make sure that all of these sorts of things are plugged in. Now there's some on the top of the rocker cover or valve cover, and one back there. Where is he? There. But they're all to do with the gubbins of the various bits and pieces on the inlet manifold. So yeah, anyway, so that's the next thing, is the, not inlet manifold, the crossover pipe. Rightio, carry on. A bit of glare, but anyway, she's all good. Push your idle up button, it's sitting on that. Oil pressure. Right, there you go. So all done. Just got to put the tools away now. Yeah, a lot snappier. It goes a lot better. So I will take it to Walter's place, and he's the top injector man in New Zealand, and we will put it on his machine and just see how bad these injectors are. So I'll do that in a few days time, but probably, yeah, straight away for you guys. Okay.